Wow, that was quite a session. And to keep up with Rajan's voice and modulation, I was sitting there and wondering, this session after this, and with all this drama and all that. So I think PC, Meghna, all up to us to now at least keep up to the voice levels, if not anything else. But we'll try our best. I think the topic is interesting. I think as you know, we heard about how big India is becoming. Like to put some numbers in context, and I'm sure there are many consumer founders here as well, that we are truly at the inflection point. And what we heard about the fintech numbers and DPI and NPCI numbers is all because there are a lot of consumers in India, right? And we're talking about 400 million internet shoppers in the next 5-7 years. The number is 200 million already. So we're talking about a very, very large consumer ecosystem. And that's why India is becoming a self-containing economy. But one question which keeps getting asked, and I think we'll talk about, with all the distinguished founders here, is how big those brands can become, how big consumer companies in India can become. And I remember at Fireside when we were raising our first fund, a lot of investors asked how many 100 crore plus brands are there in India, right? And we could hardly name a few of them. Of course, ID Fresh was one of them. But then now we are seeing we have Atomberg, we have Bluestone, we have Boat, we have Mama. So there is certainly a big shift on how big brands are becoming. But I think still we're talking about 500 crore, 700 crore. We are not really talking about billion-dollar brands, right? And with the true opportunity which the Indian ecosystem presents, with the infrastructure getting built, with financial systems getting built, what is stopping us, right? So maybe let me start with PC. You've been an inspirational consumer business for many, many consumer founders. And you started the business maybe 9 years back. Things have changed over the period of time. Where do you see ID going from here in terms of size, scale? When would ID become a $500 million company, right? And in the context of that answer, we also talk about Bharat, right? But Ghum Fir Ke, as we say, that we are all building businesses in metros, right? So when would ID reach 100 cities, right? And that's when you truly achieve the large outcome and large brand we are talking about. So your thoughts? Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I think Rajan switched it off and
how about now? Okay. So I'm actually traveling a journey, and this journey is a very tough journey. Today, my wife can make batter at home, and she feels it's a waste of time. And she buys ID batter. Yeah. My kids will not know how to make batter at home. So they will definitely be my customer. But my biggest challenge is my mom. I've been trying for the last 10 years for my mom to buy ID batter. She will never buy. She is very comfortable making batter at home. I think the day I convert my mom to buying ID batter, and that day I'll become a $1 billion business.
And how do you reach Indore and Kanpur?
That is not going to be easy. I think it's a generation change. This is not just for the batter. If you look at the category that we are in, all of us used to make batter at home. Part of us, or some of us have moved from homemade batter to ready-made batter. If you look at the same journey for other products, let's say, take atta. During my childhood days, my dad used to go to a ration shop, buy whole wheat. It would be dirty. My mom would clean it, wash, and dry it in the sunlight, and put in a poly bag, give it to me. I will go to a chakki atta mill, get the atta, bring it back. My mom used to keep in a container, right, with a closed lid, then used to make chapati out of it. If I share the story with my kids today, they will laugh at it, right? Annapurna, Ashirwad, Pillsbury, so the world have changed it. You're going to see a similar revolution for batter. Next generation will not know how to make batter at home. So the challenge here is the generation change and the grinders at home.
No, I think we'll hold on to that thought because, future consumer, I think is a big thesis on how India will ride at, and we'll touch upon that. But let me go to both Gaurav and Shubham here on scale, right? Both, Bluestone and Atomberg in their own ways are in large TAM product. Jewellery is ultra large. But can we truly build billion-dollar brands, right? And of course, there's an omnichannel journey, but each of your thoughts on how big you think at the end goal, like, 10 years, 15 years from now, how big these businesses can become?
Sure. So we started in 2012, and I think at that time, since we were only online, we were looking at the time, etc. in that context. In around 4 or 5 years, we had the realization that online, offline both had their own strengths, right? So the fact that we were a product brand, the fact that we direct to consumer, etc., were very well established back in 2015-16 also, when these terms were also not coined. I think it was truly when we started looking at the omnichannel, we realized the size of the opportunity. We realized that a lot of buying habits have changed. These are not the old times like 20, 30 years back, that someone would go to a shop and just say that whatever is there, let me just pick something from there. Right? Browsing is essential, whether in the offline world, in the large format retail, or in the online world where people just go browse pages and pages of products, etc. So what we noticed was that in our category in particular, a lot of people latched on to the browsing bit because it was, for the first time, it was possible to actually go through 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 designs of rings or earrings. In a store, you can't do that practically in a gold and diamond jewelry shop. But the comfort with the online channel to complete that purchase was not there. So that was what led to building the omni-channel experience. And our estimates basis our user studies, the opportunity that we were tapping in an online-only world was just 1/30th of what it would truly be. So we started rolling out stores, and since then we have been seeing a very fast ramp up of revenues. So last year we did around 800 crores, which was almost double of the previous year. Even on a like-to-like basis, the stores are growing at some crazy 60-70% and so on. And I think all that is attributable to a very huge TAM in our category, which is almost $50 billion. So at $1 billion, it would just be 2%. If you look at the biggest player in our category, which is Tanishq, they are doing some 40,000 crore in revenues, and they're still 5% of the market. And truly the entire market is moving from unorganized to organized. So the TAM is huge, the opportunity and the tailwinds are very strong. So I think it's just execution. So if we keep executing, I think the whole premise is already built. If we keep on executing as well as we've been executing for past few years, I think getting to $1 billion revenue is just going to take a few more years.
Nice. And similar question, but there's a nuance. Shubham, like for a category like yours, which is in electronics, fans, the channels are different. Like offline, but very GT, MT, lot of different hustle required to build an offline channel. And I was speaking to one of a large company, and he said, look, all you guys have come back and said we have to build offline, we have to do online, build profitably. We heard about growth, profitability, etc. So how is it different? What is the alpha? What is the non-linearity here? Right? We're doing similar thing as what all companies have done. So what is the nuance in which you're growing faster? You have cracked a difficult channel, have become a formidable, competition to someone like Havells, which is a market leader. What was that shift? What was that secret sauce?
I wish there was a formula, but let me first introduce about Atomberg first, and so if I'm pitching to a VC, we are disrupting a small home appliance industry, which is large enough with the help of our D2C first strategy and all that stuff. But in plain English, we make fans. And we really make good selling fans, right? And which consumer love. And hopefully we should be crossing 1,000 crore this year, where 70% of the business comes from offline, right? So yes, we have seen a fair bit of success in offline general trade because 95% of our offline business is still pure electric counter stores, right? Which is general trade and not chromas and the modern trade. Look, it was difficult. So I think the question is first, when we decided to enter offline, because we started online first, Then somewhere in 2018, we realized that online is hardly 3% of the market. And if you really want to build a 10,000 crore business, you'll have to eventually go offline. So there is no question of saying that can we stay without getting into offline? We'll have to get offline. The question is, how do we crack it? So we are two young enthusiast founders. We thought, let's go meet counters and tell them that we have built a great product. Consumers are loving it. Why don't you sell it? And we did the same. And the first question they asked is, who are you? Right? We don't know you. You're not from Havels, not from Crompton, not from Orient. How much money you have? How much brand pool you have? And there are so many questions. It took us almost 8 months to probably first crack the first counter. And it's kind of a vicious cycle, right? You go to a counter, they will ask how many consumer will come and ask about your brand. For that, you need money. You go to investor like you, and they will tell that how you create a brand. You don't have an experience, right? And you will not give us money. So eventually, it's a vicious cycle, right? And when you stumble upon one problem statement that you'll have to crack it, you sit on top of it for many years, many months. You started realizing the brighter side of things, right? And for us, the brighter side is that before getting into offline, we built an online business. So we started getting a lot of inquiry in our website saying that I'm interested in buying that product. We started realizing that we also have a B2B business, which we, let's say, sell into industries and institutions and schools and colleges. We started realizing that there are a lot of consumers who come and discover the product online, but buy offline, right? Now, these were the golden points for us, right? We thought, now how do we leverage it? So we thought instead of looking for margins, can we ensure that the lead that is coming to our website is routed through this counter, which is giving us one fan space? And can we convert our B2B sales through that counters? Now, all of a sudden, the environment changed saying that, look, there is a brand who is not dumping us material in the month end, but also thinking about our sellout, our margins, our best practices. And that is where I think we started our slowly and gradually. And over a period of time, we also got money, got capital. Some people believed in us. And now I think, yes, last 2-3 years, we've been doing pretty well. But people ask, what magic we did in last 2 years. It's not about last 2 years, it's last 6-7 years. And the initial 3-4 years of, going back to counters again and again and again. I think that's how it happened.
And I must add, for everybody's benefit, I think Atomberg is clearly an anti-portfolio for Fireside as a fund.
And I made that comment for you, by the way. That was very subjective.
But the point was that what you just said is the digital-first mindset, which is what is different from, let's say, an incumbent brand. And that mindset means a lot. Means many things to get right. It's not that one bullet, but it's like 100 bullets. You die every day to then win another day. But let me get to Meghana, you're building a very impact-focused brand, Slub Farm, right? You're trying to revolutionize how India eats, millets, not only for kids, but you're launching a adult brand called Millet. But is India ready to pay that price, right? Because we say a lot, but eventually, when we end up buying, you're looking for that, sasta food, right? So how are you going to build a large brand with that headwinds on pricing still where India is?
Sure, thank you. Very happy to be here. I'd say, Dipanjan, we should start with a little bit of faith, faith in India and faith in the consumer. I've always believed that if you are really useful to somebody, they will give you your time and their money. Their time and their money, right? So the goal really for every one of us is to do just that. When Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon won the Oscar, it was sort of like a marker of the start of the Chinese century. I think, for us, it's Natu Natu baby. So when RRR won, it just felt like things were falling into place. All the numbers that you just talked about, those are also very real, right? The job as an entrepreneur is to figure out in each of the channels that you're reaching the consumer, how to sort of demonstrate value, right? And how you either saving somebody time, giving their child a more nutritious meal, making for us, it's also just the child eating the food is what makes the repeats what they are. And so really just, being really useful, I think, is where it's going to come. And I think, as we double click and we move from online to offline, we're discovering that in some cases it might just be a pack size difference. Maybe a smaller SKU to get people to try the product. In some, it's a whole different product, right? So, like I said, the job is really to continue to innovate and figure out what consumers want and what they will find most useful.
But you do believe, from the lens as a founder of a food brand, that India is getting ready for adopting a premium product as long as it adds value to them?
Absolutely. I think it's been shown it's played out in many ways, right? I mean, PC here is the brand we want to grow up and be, and has demonstrated that if you make a incredibly amazing vada pouch, which makes that perfect vada, people will buy it. And so that's it. I think, people will pay a premium. How much that premium is, sort of that price value, the Indian consumer is very value conscious more than price conscious. So you just have to figure out how you adding value. Are you saving them time? To us, really, it is about that. You're saving them time. You're saving them sort of headache. The fact that the kid is eating is a non-trivial sort of activity. For our adult brand, the messages I'm getting are, that my continuous glucose monitoring meter is not showing a spike. What is the magic that you're putting in here? So, I mean, which is nothing, it's millets that is going in there. But, so I think just demonstrating that value visually for people to see that improvement in their daily lives is where magic is going to happen.
And that's where the scale will eventually come. Let me switch to the topic which PC started talking about, like the new consumer, right? And I think one interesting data point as we stand today is that we have 200 million online shoppers. As we go to become 400 million, the net new 200 million is unknown, right? They are a consumer, we don't exist today, the Gen Zs, the young. So as a food brand, and you talked about how the next generation will not make idli at home, how are you really addressing that from a brand reach out standpoint? And that's true for all of us, and we'll come to Gaurav and others as well. That is there a change in which you are going to the market? Is there a different way you're reaching out to this new consumer?
I think I'll probably share an experience which happened like 2 days ago. In fact, last week, we had launched our new version of Vada Pack in the market. And my son came and told me that, yeah, you're now addressing Gen Z, right? You're now talking my language. I didn't know that I was talking his language. So I was happy to hear that, yes, we are catering to his communication needs. But keeping that apart, right, it's extremely important to look around, identify customer problems, and solve it for them. And that's the role of a businessman or businesswoman, right? Yeah. At ID, that's what we're trying to do. At every stage, we look at as either an existing customer or a future customer. How do we help them to do their job better? We don't replace their role. So if you look at the case of ID batter, we don't sell ID. We don't sell idli, we sell batter. A homemaker picks up a pack of batter, customized to their taste, add her or his masala or toppings on it, cooks idli, add her love, serve it hot to the family. If idli comes out well, she gets a credit, not ID. And if for some reason, if dosa is not crispy enough, she can blame it on me, the brand ID. I don't take the credit away from the homemaker. In fact, I help the homemaker to do their job better. In fact, I'm a professional assistant to homemaker. So it was extremely important for me to understand that do not replace the customer. Help the customers to do their job better. In fact, that's the same philosophy that we are applying for any new products that we look at. So to cater the next generation needs, we have already started working on some products, right? So one such product that we launch is a coffee decoction on the go, right? Yeah. Sachet, because that's where the new generation will take the product, right? Yes. It is not going to be maybe home consumption. So we have developed a product which is for the next generation. Today, the business is not doing well, But I'm sure one day it will. So it's extremely important to start innovating and creating those products, keep that mindset for the future as well, and make it work.
And how? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
At 2PC, we are a big fan of ID. We always have ID batter at home. I have 8 and 6 years old kids, and they love eating idli. They grew up on idli. We are a North Indian family. Without that, we don't know how to make batter. But I think with the batter being readily available, the choice of breakfast actually moved from sandwiches and parathas to idli and dosa. And our kids actually, those were the first breakfast menu that got developed for our kids, and they still love it. So it's a testament of how it has already changed the behavior. I think North Indians cooking idli and dosa at their home for breakfast, it was unheard of. They didn't know.
And just to follow up, PC, on that point, like every generation is different. Of course, every brand, starting from Unilever to P&G, will have a similar approach. How different do you think is this shift? I think because one of the things which we keep hearing, and we'll talk about some of the anecdotes, that this Gen Z, as we call it, which is somebody who is less than 25 years today, is behaving disproportionately differently as a consumer, right? Compared to, let's say, even somebody who is a 30-year, 35-year. So is it dramatically different, or is it different like any other generational difference which you would have seen?
So again, I'll take an example of my son, who qualifies to be the Gen Z category. So we were developing a new product, which is a pure tender coconut, but tender coconut on the go. So we had actually launched pre-COVID. We are making some customization, and just 2 days ago, I took the product to home and give it to my son, and asked him to experience it. That's what I do. Like my kids are my guinea pigs. I want them to test the product before I launch the product in the market. So he tested and he said, "No, I won't buy it." I asked him why. He said, "This is not hygienic." So, I never thought from that perspective. I thought my product is very hygienic, right? But he says, on the coconut, there is this fiber left. It's not because anything else. There's fiber left, and I don't feel that hygienic. So it was important for me to, improve that product and make it more appealing for him. I think those are the kind of minor things that we will have to. But one thing that I've noticed about my son is that he's very health conscious, right? Of course, he take all the junk food, right? That I can't control, but that is not every day. He is very clear that no, I will not eat this food because he started reading what is there. So that's where this story, what is behind, pack, right? So the transparency really works with them.
Absolutely.
So there have been a lot of controversy about the food products, labeling and all of them, right? So if you look at ID, we are actually fighting a war against chemicals and preservatives in the food.
Absolutely.
Our products are 100% natural, no chemicals, no preservatives, nothing else in it, right? Even the bread that we launched recently is probably the only clean label bread in the market, right? Without an E number in it. He started valuing that. Absolutely. And he started reading the ingredients on it. That gives me confidence for the future. That gives me confidence for future India as well, and my business as well.
The new India. Yeah. So, Gaurav, similar question, but in a very different context, right? So, fashion, lifestyle is becoming a big consumption area for Gen Zs. But the whole conversational commerce, using influencers, using referrals, so the way it seems a lot of the young consumer will buy jewelry is different than what people are buying today or maybe yesterday, right? So, how dramatic is the shift which you are seeing?
Changing at a very rapid pace. In fact, in India, 20, 30 years, whenever you would talk about gold and diamond jewelry, it was just linked to marriages, weddings, big occasions, and so on. To the extent that almost 80 to 90% of the market or the buying was happening around the weddings and big events. From that, it has already shifted to around 50-50, where 50% is wedding jewelry and 50% is the jewelry that is bought kind of on a more casual basis and worn on a regular basis. So essentially, so that's a big shift, and that happened in almost a 60-80 billion US dollar market, right? So that's a 20-30 billion shift that has already happened. These days, the young girls, when they're getting married, I think the conversation with their mom is, don't buy too much jewelry for wedding, rather let's buy jewelry that I can wear after the wedding, which I can wear when I go out with friends, which I can wear in the evening outings and so on. And when that is happening and she is choosing, she's a lot more fashion conscious, right? She wants to wear something which is different from what other women are wearing, right? For us, the success metric is that if she buys something and couple of days, her friends should notice that, okay, you are wearing this. If that's not, we have got returns saying that no one noticed it. So I am returning this product. I just don't like it anymore. Right? So that matters a lot. And I think all that influencing is happening. Online is playing a big role in that influencing. Because in a category like us, it was, without online being there, it's not possible for someone to experience so many designs. Right? With the price points of 40, 50,000, you can't go to a jewelry shop every week and say, I'm here to just browse. Right? So that browsing, that discovery, that nuancing of the category is happening online. That, okay, there are 40 different type of rings, or there are 30 different type of earrings. That otherwise, if you don't experience that category that often, if you are not getting influenced by, I would not say influenced, but if you're not getting educated, or if you're not consuming all that content online, that education would not happen, right? So today, if you, even in case of footwear, if you see, so let's say 30 years back, when my mom was young, she had 2 or 3 pair of chappals or whatever footwear. And there was no nuancing that, okay, there are these 20 different type of footwear which you wear for different occasions along with different dresses. Yeah. So I'm saying all that happens with the interaction with the categories or subcategories. And I think a lot of that is now happening online, and Instagram and a lot of social media has a big role to play there.
And therefore, are you changing your marketing strategy or the way you're using influencers? Has it significantly changed over the, let's say, last?
So we have done a few influencer activities. ROI is something that we actually honestly struggled on, or struggled to measure also, and struggled to realize also. So it's not something that we are very big on. We have our own social pages, etc., where we keep on doing. So it's not influencer-led per se, it's social-led. But not influencer-led. Having said that, I think the way a lot of these algos and the data has evolved, Facebook, Google, their machine learnings, and I think their systems generally know so much more about everyone. Right? So they would know that, okay, she's getting engaged, or they would know that she's getting married, or that anniversary is just around the corner. So in our category, even when a lot of this, so the jewelry buying has become a lot more continuous than what it used to be, and it has become, the ticket sizes have become a lot more smaller. But for historical reasons, it is still event driven. So let's say a woman knows that I want to buy this, but it's not that, okay, she thought that I would buy this and then she goes and buys. She says, okay, is birthday pay? I'll buy this. Right? So the product, the mind is made up. And then an occasion comes. It can be Valentine, it can be Dhanteras, it can be Akshaya Tritiya, it can be birthday, it can be anniversary. And that is when a lot of these purchases happen. So I think, so targeting is much sharper with online, along with kind of identifying or classifying people in different personas, etc. So it has definitely become a lot sharper than when we started. And I think it's playing a big role. It's going to play a huge role.
You know, and moving to Shubham, slightly different question, but on a same genre, that as you grow from here to the next level, right, you know, double, triple from here, there is a consumer lens, there's a changing consumer. I'm sure even in your category, there is a nuance to how the consumer is buying a ceiling fan. Then there is a offline angle, there's a GTM angle. So as a brand which is going, call it, to the next level, right, what is your number one worry? Is it really the consumer and meeting the needs of a new consumer? Is it making sure the GTM is right? Is it execution still? So what happens when a brand crosses the stage which you have crossed?
Worry. I think there's no worry as such. The only worry that we have is we should not be too greedy, and in the process we should not be rushing a lot. Because if we rush too much, I think we'll take a lot of wrong decisions. In the past, why we have been slightly successful, whatever whatever benchmark you measure it, is because we had a lot of patience for building a long-term institution. We're building for the last 12 years, right? And my only concern is that, if we become too aggressive and forget the whole purpose of why we started Atomberg, we'll look for too many short-term growth levers, which will eventually have a, So yeah, I think that's the only probably my worry is, and that's why we're aligning the entire team that we still need to stay grounded and keep focusing.
Nice.
I think for all of us, we started in categories where people had given up on innovation. On jewelry, people had absolutely given an idea. In case of batter, no one thought that this can be done like this also, right? So it's not that, okay, something has been done and we just pick out one category and just do the exact same thing. It's things that people were not even thinking of, had written off. Same goes for Atomberg also. I think great product. If they keep on coming up with more, everyone would have given up on fans, right? First time I heard about Atomberg, कि एक नया तरीके का पंखा बनाया, I was like, seriously, there was innovation possible in that, but kudos to them. I think they've done phenomenally well there.
Absolutely. And Meghna, different question, right? We heard about the whole growth, profitability debate, toffee, coffee, us type. It looks like a debate like that. Now, you are a mid-stage brand, a lot of focus on growth. You did a fabulous brand campaign with Anushka. But still the performance marketing costs are very high. And the most frequently asked question, I'm sure, from investors are, how you're managing your LTV CAC, and that is something which is the reality today. What are those innovations around marketing at the early stage where, yes, you need to grow, but there are real challenges around marketing budgets? I think Ruchi said Google is taking away all the money, so is Facebook. They will continue to take, right? So what's your answer to that?
I think they all said it on the previous panel, which is there is a time to grow and you invest. We decided over the last year and a bit to really invest hard on brand and, cementing Slurp Farm as a children's food brand made by mothers, having Anushka, as a mother that people, trust, get behind that message, right? You don't do that forever. And you do those in spurts always, and also as you grow, the percent of spend as a percentage of your revenue is much smaller. So I don't, I do think, by the way, there's a growth profitability trade-off. I do not think you can grow at 200% year on year while being profitable. It's quite, for the Ruchi, who seems to be able to do that, wonderful. But for us mere mortals, I think there is a bit of a trade-off. You continue to grow. You grow at a out-normal rate, perhaps at 50-60%, but be profitable. And I think we can do, we're at least aiming to do just that.
Yeah. No, great. We are almost out of time, but unlike Rajan, we'll take a little more time, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes extension. We are consumer startups, so we'll take our extra time. But if I could just do a rapid fire and say what each of you would have done differently today as you start up versus when you had started up, right? Or what would that be? Maybe in one line. That if you're starting up today, again, Slurp Farm, what would you do differently?
So I think when we started, we thought we had to do online and offline together. I think, and COVID was a tight slap that sort of made us focus on just online. I think, without having the world go through COVID, it would be great if we had just focused on online first. Yeah.
PC?
I think I was very late in forming a professional management team. Should have done that earlier.
Absolutely. Great.
In our case, it would, I think, be the transition into omnichannel. I think it could have happened 2-3 years earlier.
Starting again, like doing the same business?
Yes. You want to start something else? That's fine too.
Yeah, because the answer will change based on that. If I want to do the same business again, I will not do that first. But if we do that, probably we'll raise capital slightly at an earlier time and start investing on building the brand and building the offline, because that is where we have seen a lot more sustainable growth is coming from.
And as we see India for the next 20-25 years, and 2047 is when we will be 100 years independence, and we're talking about India at 100. So one line on each of you, how you see each of your businesses at 2047.
So for us, the goal really is, for far too long, India has exported commodities and imported brands. We want to change that. And we want to be a brand that takes millets to the world. And that's what we're going to do.
Nice.
Today, we touch the life of 2 million Indians every day with the world's best food, idli. I hope that becomes 20 million in 2047.
Gaurav?
So I think in our case, the transformation is very rapid from the type of jewelry and the type of occasion, etc. I think a lot of incumbents, especially family jewelers, city jewelers, etc., they would find it very difficult to survive. given the way they are doing business, and almost 80% of the market is still sitting in that bucket. So I think when that big chunk of 80% market moves to the other side, I think we'll be a natural beneficiary of that. So.
2047. I think by then we should achieve financial freedom. Profitability. We are profitable, but yeah, I think all of us will achieve that. And
I think the previous panel were talking about hours or minutes or something like that.
I just wish that I survive till then, and our company survives till then. That's the only wish I had.
You have to eat healthy Slurp Farm food and ID food to survive till then.
Yes, if we can survive till then, I think we'll grow anyway. That's okay.
No, so we'll wrap up on that note, but just a closing comment saying we truly is at an inflection point as we stand today from a consumer standpoint. India is going to be self-reliant, driven by consumption, and we have amazing founders like we've talked to today who will build those iconic billion-dollar brands, and that's India at 2047 would be a very, very different place. So with that note and hope, thank you very much. Thanks, all of you.